Hi, this is Frederick from the techno label Detroit, Berlin. Today I'm going to explain the balance between kick and bass and do some tests. This is an exercise of my mentorship program. So one of my students, he made some kick and bass loops, try to put them together, balancing them with only using EQing, compression and such, but not side chaining them. So just it's an exercise of balance and to get the kick and the bass working well together. Actually, if you compose and arrange a kick and a bass, you should make them already work well together, because two separate things that aren't adjusted to each other, they probably never will work well together. So I have this Ableton live project I'm taking you into. I have 4 bass kick loops in total, 3 of which my student made. The last one I made myself to have like a 4th loop. I'll go explaining in a bit, but you have the kick and the bass. First a loop without the EQing and compression I apply to it, and then afterwards with the EQing and compression. And then you actually hear the difference between the unbalanced and the balanced result. So I would say let's jump right into the program and let's have a listen. So first we'll take a listen and a look at the non-balanced version of the first loop, the loop A, I would say so. So it has really a lot of low end, to my opinion too much, because it's just like droning and making everything tremble without actually the punch of the kick. The kick is, I don't hear the kick that much, but I hear the low frequencies like exaggerated, and the bass is kind of okay. I think that the low end comes from the kick. Let's first solo it. So this is the kick. It's like a little, but with extreme amount of low end, so that's already a little bit too much. And then the bass is actually okay. It doesn't have too much low end, but the kick, the kick itself is not balanced, so together it doesn't sound that well. Now the loop will continue, and it will be my EQ'd version. So let's first. So now it's more stuck together, this kick and this bass. And let's first solo the kick. Still has that low end, but it has more that punch. So if you compare, has more like transients. I pronounce those transients. Then let's take a listen to the bass. Don't think I changed that much. I made it a little bit louder and a little bit more punchy also, so the two work well together. And then before with too much low end. Then let's take a look at first the EQ curve I did to the kick. I cut the low end. I made a little peak at what I think it's like almost 70 Hertz, and then a dip at 800 Hertz. Then quite a big peak at 1100 Hertz, because to bring out these transients, without it, it sounded extremely not punchy enough, but with exaggerated low end. and then some compression. So I'll bypass this, and then yeah, you feel it trembling if you have like a subwoofer or loudspeakers that go very low. Like yeah, it eats all the headroom that's available. So let's take a look at the bass. I also applied like a low cut, a high cut for these, like these yeah, it's a bass sound, so not too much in the high end range. A little bit of compression, not that much. Let me bypass this chain. And then it doesn't glue with the kick, so I pronounced it a little bit. I gave a gain at 55 Hertz and a little bit of gain around 1 kilohertz. So I would say let's move on to loop B. This is just yeah the unbalanced version, kick and bass. And I hear like a kind of an annoying frequency around, I think, like 200 Hertz, in that range. I think it's coming from the bass. The bass has really no high end in it, no mids in it. It's like a woolly, yeah, exaggerated at I think about 200 Hertz. I can actually, let's see, just put an EQ8 on top of it, and then I can see, no, it's actually lower. It's about, let me see, about 50 Hertz. So around the 50 Hertz, and then around also the 200 Hertz. Let me, that's not what I wanted. So I pronounce this now around 200 Hertz. That's yeah, actually like a few octaves higher. And then at 50 Hertz, it's really exaggerated, of course. Let's first remove this EQ. And then the kick itself, it doesn't have a lot of low end. It almost has no low end, but that can work well together with the bass, but not in this setup, because the bass is like continuous. And if you have like continuous, really low-end exaggerated sound, and you have a kick trying to get through it, it's not working. So this is how it was, and let's move on in a bit to what I made from it with EQ and compression without sidechaining. So the bass is more like confined. I pushed some of those transients, there weren't too many, and the kick has a little bit more punch. Let's take a look at the EQ settings of the kick of loop B. So yeah, slight compression, actually quite some compression, but the attack goes through it. So I took some of the punch out of it, like the clickiness, and I boosted a little bit of the low. Then I have a dip around 34 Hertz. Took some down around 2.5 kilohertz, also some high frequencies. I took them down, and then it's a little bit more gentle, but not too much of a difference. But it was already kind of good, the kick. So especially with the bass, I had this problem. And if you look now, I have the kick and the bass. Let me see. I put some more sustain on it. A lot less punch, because yeah, it kind of worked. Let me. This sustain makes it, this dynamic shape, the sustain makes it more, yeah, gives it more transients and some saturation, so that's nice. I have a low cut around 30 Hertz, then I cut some at 200 Hertz. That's, yeah, this annoying frequency I was hearing. I cut it there, and I boosted really a lot of mid-range, around 750 Hertz. So yeah, I boosted that a lot, and then lots of compression and some drive. So in total, this wooliness is gone with like cutting the 200 Hertz. But it's also specific for this sound, because yeah, it's peaking at 200 Hertz and at 50 Hertz. So with this EQ curve, I tone it down and I kind of make it fit better with the kick. So before it was like all over the place, and now it's like more tight. And still I have enough low end, but not over exaggerated. So before, wooliness, kick was kind of okay, but the balance was not there yet. And then it's a lot more tight. Not that much difference, but it was already kind of good. This is the next one. Kick-bass relation, loop C. And yeah, the bass is kind of airy, kind of far in the distance. So yeah, it was difficult to work with it. But yeah, we'll just take a look. Let me see. Also have kind of this phasing effect, this, yeah, almost rotary speaker effect on it, and that makes the bass, yeah, not tight, but more like an ambient background thing. So let's first solo the kick. Workable. And the bass is, I don't like it, but of course that's my own opinion. And together they work, yeah. It's not powerful. I tried to solve. So the kick is more punchy, and the bass is, yeah, I didn't, yeah, change the bass. That was not the intent, but it's more like trying to get it more fitting together. And yeah, I made some more pronunciation on the kick instead, giving it some more punch. Let's take a look at the curve of the kick without compression, without EQ and compression. A little bit flat, lifeless. Yeah, it's weak. It's a little bit too weak to my taste. So that's a little bit more click, and these mid frequencies got pushed forward, and also a little bit of a boost around 86 Hz, and then a low cut at around 95 Hz. A lot more sustain to get this saturation, this punch. Compression to keep it under control, because without compression, the low end will take control over the sound. So compression can be used to keep the low end tight. And then some drive. Okay. So if we take a look at the bass, a lot less sustain. Don't want this sound to get more saturated. Try to smooth it out a little bit. But I boosted a lot, around 1.7 kilohertz, because it was sounding dull. It was kind of dull, so I boosted it there to give it some more like mids, higher mids. Rolled off the bass, because that's just making everything cloudy, and then not too much compression. It doesn't, it's slight compression, but actually it doesn't do much. And then some drive, just to get these transients and get it sounding more fresh than it was before. So let's take another look before and after. It's kind of flat. And then the kick is more like punchy. So that's that. And then I actually used kick from the sample stream sample pack. I'll put a link in the description down below. And I took my Minimoog Voyager and played actually two bass lines to layer them on top of each other, because if you have more bass lines, it gets more difficult. So let's maybe first take a look. This is before EQing. I already tried to adjust the sounds to each other just by using the oscillator waves and filter and the sound itself and the frequencies to match the kick and the bass. So let's first take a look at the soloed kick. Kind of a punchy kick. A bass line, just played it and looped it. And the second bass line kind of followed on the same melody. So let's listen to it together. And these two bass lines, they already are getting in each other's way. So I'll mute the first bass line I made. And the Moog has a lot of low end, so I'm gonna go and take control of the low end with some EQing and some compression, and then the kick can also of course use some of that. So now this is the EQ'd version with some compression, and too much. So let's see. I had some low cut around 100 Hertz. Then I added a little bit more attack, some punch to it. Low gain I boosted kind of a lot, around 45 Hertz, and I made a dip at 250 Hertz. So that's a slight dip to get it, yeah, under control. Is this boxiness that I actually try to remove. So the rest is more clear, and yeah, have nicer sound. Then some mid-high gain around 600 Hertz. So that gives more transients, and then some compression and a little bit of drive, but not too much. Let's actually go to the bass line, the first one I made. All the way low cut and all the way high cut, and I have something around 500 Hertz left, just to give it, yeah, I'll mute it in a bit, and then when the kick and the main bass are playing, I'll add it to it, so yeah, it gets it more of like a little bit of an ambient background. So let's first go to the main bass line, the second one I made. Added some sustain just to give this a little bit of saturation and pull everything up. The more silent parts of the bass line. And then yeah, you see the curve, it's like it has a dip at 3.6 kilohertz and a boost at 1 kilohertz. And then yeah, in the lows I have a low cut at 46 hertz and a high cut at around 10 kilohertz, because yeah, it's a bass, so everything above 10,000 hertz, yeah, that's not needed. Makes it a little more controllable. Some compression and a little bit of drive, but not too much. So if we go back, it works well together, I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and which of the 4 loops. This is loop D. I'll go about every loop, so you can have a little bit of comparison. And this is with the added bass line underneath. It makes it a little bit more cloudy, but yeah, it brings some atmosphere into it. And it adds this, yeah, these ghost notes, so that's I think that's actually kind of nice. So yeah, let's first go to the first loop, loop A. Let's have a listen. Loop B. Loop C. me know in the comment section down below which loop you prefer, or yeah, if you have any more questions about these relationships between kick and bass, and I'll make a follow-up video. If you like this video, please press the like button, and you're also welcome to subscribe to the channel, and click the bell button so you'll be notified when upcoming episodes will get published. I would thank you for watching, and hope to see you soon.